Hey everybody, welcome back for another video. If you're tuning in for the first time, I am Ashley. Nice to meet you. Today we're going to be doing a hair tutorial. This is going to be a start to finish a slay featuring a company by the name of LeModa. So they sent over this nice curly wig. I'll be showing you that in just a moment. But first we have to whip up this secret concoction. Now this here is BW bleach and I'm going to mix it with a little bit of 40 volume developer, and this together is going to make the perfect mix to bleach our knots. Now you do want to add in a little by little. I'm going to be using 2 scoops of the bleach. I do have another 2 scoops on the opposite side in this bowl for another wig, but 2 scoops is pretty much the perfect amount, and it actually comes with the scooper so that you'll get the perfect amount. And as you guys can see, I'm pouring in little by little because even though I've done this probably 100 times, it still runs the risk of adding too much consistency of one or another. And if you do add too much, you just add a little bit of more powder to thicken it back up. But you guys can kind of see how thick and pasty my mixture is. You do not want this mixture runny because this is supposed to bleach the knots and not the root. If it is too thin, it will run right through the lace and onto the knots, and then past the knots onto the roots, and then you'll have dark hair with blonde roots. Not cute at all. Here I am taking a little bit of a holding spray, and I'm just gonna pretty much spray that on the hairline to push the baby hair back so that the baby hair does not get bleached. If it's going in all different directions, it's a little bit easier for it to get on those baby hairs. So now I am using a brush, and this is pretty much like a hair dye brush. And I'm just literally painting all of this bleach in a nice thin layer all the way across. Now I say thin layer, but I definitely am very generous with my bleach. Again, I only did 2 scoops and I just again made the perfect consistency with that. But again, I do use this generously because, why not? So once you've applied this your entire lace, it should look something similar to this. As you guys can see on the opposite side, you can see it through. If you look on the opposite side and you see it already like pushed through and like caked up in the roots, go ahead and rinse it out, let it air dry and start all over, just because that means that as long as it stays there, it is going to bleach the root. So this is what it looks like after just pretty much air drying on the mannequin head. You can tell just visually how soft this hair is. I mean, like, if there's like a sense of like smell-o-vision, like feel-o-vision, you can definitely see how soft and fluffy this hair is. It's absolutely gorgeous. I did go ahead and rinse that bleach out after 20 minutes. I washed it once with a purple shampoo, and then once I lathered with a conditioner, a moisturizing conditioner. I think I used the Aussie Moist. Yeah, that was in the background of the last clips. And this is what it looks like. 20 minutes of bleaching and it came out perfect. No over bleaching at all whatsoever. Anytime you go beyond the 20-minute mark, I kind of feel like is when it starts to look a little bit orange and brassy. Just a heads up. So even if it feels like you want to go a little bit longer, understand the longer you leave that bleach on, the more likely it is to be brassy and orange when you part it. So here we are. I definitely felt like this one was pre-plucked enough, so I went ahead and opted to go ahead and bleach the knots. Duh, we already did that. I went ahead and cut off the excess lace. I'm sorry, it is definitely late. It's 1 a.m. and I am tripping. But yeah, cut off the excess lace all the way around the ear. Basically where your sideburn is key in making sure your hairline and your lace looks good and flawless, because that's kind of where you can tell if you know what you're doing or not, because it gets a little tricky honestly around the ear. As you guys can see, I'm trying to cut around and make it perfect. A lot of the times, including this time, I'm going to pretty much cut off the sideburn, but I'll do that in just a moment. Now I am adhering the lace with my freeze spray, and as you guys can see, I kind of chase the spray with a clean cloth because it kind of will run, because again this is a liquid. And I'm going to just take my time and I'm going to allow this to get dry and tacky. Now, rule of thumb, if you're a beginner and your wig does not fit already, I find that this this process is a little bit harder. Now, it's not hard for me, but this wig was a little bit bigger on my hairline, and I find you have to hold it in place a little bit more, whereas if it fit tight and it was like a glueless wig, when you do this part, it's so much easier. Hopefully that makes sense, but if you do find that the wig that you purchased is a little bit big, go ahead and add an elastic band, which of course I have many videos, including a recent one on how to do so, and that's going to pretty much help it to sit on your head so that when you're trying to lay it down and bond it, you know, it's just a little bit easier. And you guys can see I'm not necessarily having trouble, but because the lace is big, again, you got to just hold it there in place a little bit longer and be a little bit more patient with it. I didn't have patience, so I went ahead and grabbed a scarf, and I'm just going to go ahead and let that do its job. When you put the scarf directly on the hairline and kind of just allow it to sit there for a good 10 minutes, it's going to do the job and bond it down naturally. Or you can go ahead and use a blow dryer on a cool setting. If you use it on a warm or hot setting, it's more likely that it'll show, kind of like make that white film along the hairline, whereas when a cool setting is used, it looks a little bit more neat, if that makes any sense. So since we didn't apply any product while the wig was on the wig head, we need to go ahead and re-dampen the hair. You don't necessarily need it soaked, but you just want to pretty much go ahead and bring back those curls. And more importantly, we're going to add a little bit of product, so you want to make sure that the hair is damp so that you don't use too much product. If you put product on dry hair, you'll need way more. And of course, today we're going to be using some mousse. I interchange. We're going to use this one today. And of course, everything I use is listed in the description bar for you guys to shop or just to check out if you're just curious. And we're kind of finger raking it. I definitely find that when you finger comb it and rake it, you get a little bit more hair loss or shedding. So be sure to use like a wide tooth comb or a dimming brush instead. Nonetheless, the curls came out absolutely beautiful. I literally had no complaints. I did not even need to use a contour powder in the parting or the hairline, and you'll see how amazing it looks. Normally, even if I bleach the knots, I'll still use something, and this one already was a nice brown lace color, so it looks perfect. And you can kind of see that here. This is what it looks like dry, and I know it kind of looks a little bit like too flat and cakey. It's not that it's cakey, it's just more so that it is bonded down in the direction, you know, it was. So as I add product and I swoop the baby hair, this is going to look perfect. If you do find that you have too much glue on your hairline, please use a rubbing alcohol and like a cotton ball or a cotton pad, and that'll get that up super easy without any issues. We did opt for a center part, and I'm going to use a little bit more mousse around the crown. As I add product and style, you'll kind of see how it went from like flat and just the hairline looks pretty smushed to looking a little bit more natural. You can also notice how flat and natural the crown of the head looks on this one, and I'm absolutely in love with how flat and, you know, beautiful it looks. But if you're opting for like a high half up half down, I would say that this lace probably may not be as dense to get the volume that you would want. And I'm going to use a wax to go ahead and finesse some baby hair. I didn't want to separate the baby hair and like cut it and tweeze it. I kind of just wanted to leave it as is, especially because it's already a natural density on the lace, and this pretty much worked fine. So I'm going to just finesse this really quickly, and then I'll come back with my thoughts on this wig. Okay, so this is my hair from LeModa. As you guys can see, I went ahead and bleached the knots, and then I went ahead and let it dry on the mannequin head. Now my plan was obviously to go ahead and style it on the mannequin head while it was like soaking wet, but I took a break and it got dry, and so rather than going back and re-wetting it on the mannequin head, I opted to just finish the style on my head. Now that it's on my head, I did go ahead and have to like re-wet it to make the curls pop, and then I just went ahead and styled all over. It is still damp, so I will come back and add pictures of what it looks like when it completely dries with product, but I will say that I absolutely love it. Now you guys can see when you finger comb the hair, sometimes when it's dry and fluffy, you will get like strings of hair all over your hands, and the more you tug and add tension and pull, it will make the hair shed a little bit more. So rather than doing that, use a wide tooth comb or a diamond brush and you'll get less shedding. But I did get a little bit more shedding because I did that and literally kind of like pull at the hair a little bit too much. Now you guys can see how flat it is up top. I absolutely love that for a natural look. I'm definitely more used to it being a lot more dense up top, but that is just how this one is constructed. I do have all of the information on this wig in the description bar, and of course they did give some packaging, so I'll show you that. This is the box that the wig came in, and this is pretty much what it always comes in. I have definitely worked with this company a few times. Then of course they included your wig caps, and they did give the elastic. Now I will say this one definitely needed an elastic band for me. It is big on my head. If I'm not mistaken, they did send me a size medium cap, and I do feel like it is a little bit loose in the back. I am a size small normally, so I definitely would opt for my normal size the next time. Nonetheless, because I did bond it down, it worked out. Let me show you guys what this one looks like from the back. And again, I do love the curl pattern on this one just because I feel like it gives me like TLC chili vibes. As far as the hairline goes, I think it came out beautiful. I did bleach the knots as you guys seen, and everything came out amazing. And then for the baby hair, I definitely have been missing my baby hair, but I did not want to cut or trim the baby hair down. So you guys can see I did a bit of a finesse, and I recommend this technique for those of you who are afraid to actually cut like hair or trim baby hair down out of fear of messing it up, cutting it too long or cutting it too short. You kind of just take a little bit of a wax or even your mousse and just swoop it as what it is. Now this wax is pretty old. As you guys can see, this is my holy grail, and I'll have it linked down below, but it is time for a new one. It's all the way up here, and you guys know these things last for years. I've literally had this one for years, but because it's so old, it did kind of give a little bit of white in different places, and I'll be able to just go ahead and let that set and then brush it out, so it's not a big deal. But because I did bleach the knots and the top does have such a nice pre-plucked super thin lace, it does give a natural look, and I was able to finesse baby hair without actually having to cut any baby hair down or trim it shorter or tweeze or anything like that. So yeah, let me know what you guys think of this look and this hair. Also, make sure you check out LeModa. I have the link to this wig in the description bar as well. They do have a sale going on right now. I believe it starts 11/11, which is today. So make sure you guys check that out to get your deal. And yeah, subscribe, like this video, share with your friends, and also turn on your post notifications. There will be a wig sale Black Friday, so stay tuned for that. And I will be putting a video up with the details of that like next week. Oh, also make sure you subscribe to me on Instagram. I am going to throw up a few contests for the holiday season just for you guys to be able to win some cash and different prizes. So make sure you are subscribed to me on Instagram if you aren't already. And my handle there is at Ashley Bedeck. I'm Ashley Bedeck here on Instagram, on Facebook, and I haven't gotten a Twitter yet, but if I decide to, I'm Ashley Bedeck there as well as Snapchat. So yeah, see you guys in the next one. Smooches!